Today, I want to talk about IBS versus IBD. Okay, IBS stands for irritable bowel syndrome. IBD stands for inflammatory bowel disease, which can further be broken down into Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. IBS would be the less severe of the two. Irritable bowel syndrome is a syndrome. That means it's a constellation of symptoms. It's not really an overt disease. There's no test for irritable bowel syndrome. It's just a diagnosis doctors will give based on what symptoms you're having. Now, when someone has IBS, I, as a functional medicine doctor, am always asking why. Why are they having those symptoms? What's the root cause for those symptoms, and trying to identify those root causes and treat them. Inflammatory bowel disease is more serious. It's an autoimmune condition where your body's immune system is actually attacking self. Okay. Just like irritable bowel syndrome, though, there's always a reason why that's happening. It's not normal ever for your body's immune system to attack itself. There has to be a reason. And with all autoimmune disease, one of the reasons is leaky gut and usually dysbiosis, which is an overgrowth of bad gut bacteria. But if you find yourself in an acute flare of either IBD or IBS, or you don't know what you have, but you're having an acute flare up of your gut and you get these from time to time, I'm going to share some tips today that can help you navigate that flare easier. So the first thing is making adjustments to your diet. If your gut is flaring up, you want to follow an anti-inflammatory diet. Our diet today is very pro-inflammatory. We get tons of omega-6s in our diet, which are very inflammatory, and not enough omega-3s, which are very anti-inflammatory. Back in the Paleolithic area, the ratio of omega-6s to 3s used to be like 1 to 1. And now in the standard American diet, it's more like 25 to 1. 25 omega-6 or pro-inflammatory to 1 of the omega-3 anti-inflammatory. And you can see why we're having a lot of issues with our gut. How do you get omega-3s? Well, you can supplement with a high quality omega-3 supplement, or you can get it in your diet. The best way to get omega-3s are going to be fatty fishes like salmon and sardines, which are shown to reduce inflammation. Other foods that are anti-inflammatory are going to be your leafy green vegetables. And then consider adding turmeric or curcumin into your cooking, because that's very anti-inflammatory as well. Again, that can be taken as a supplement also, but instead of taking the supplement, you could certainly add it to your foods and get the same benefit. I'm always telling patients fiber, 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 eat more fiber. We don't get enough fiber. However, I'm going to say the opposite. If you're acutely flared, if you're having a IBD flare, you want to actually limit your fiber intake. So think about when you're sick and food just doesn't taste good. It's a lot of energy and effort for your stomach to digest food and process it. And so, it's actually healing to eat a little bit less when you're sick. It's the same is true for the colon. Your body has to process that food. It's an energetic process. And so if we slow the bowel movements down when we're in a really big flare, that can actually help the body heal. So the only time I really will say low fiber diet is if you're having an active acute flare of your gut, and you might want to decrease your fiber during that acute phase and then increase it back up. Of course, you want to hydrate wisely. We need tons of fluids, but not just fluids. We need electrolytes too. So don't just drink water, especially if you're not eating as much. You want to add some electrolytes. I love Element as an electrolyte solution, or Relight is also really good. And I try to get one of those in per day. And then incorporate gut healing foods. The best one I can think of is bone broth. Bone broth is loaded with glutamine, which is so healing for your gut. Aloe vera juice would be another great thing to try. And then just L-glutamine in general. There's a ton of L-glutamine in bone broth, but you can also take that in supplement form. As a matter of fact, my Gut Restore powder, the main ingredient in that is L-glutamine, and so it could be substituted for the bone broth. Then you also want to think about lifestyle adjustments. Stress is a big player in almost every single disease, and chronic stress is one of the biggest triggers for IBD flares. So if you're feeling stress, try to incorporate spending time in nature, maybe adding in some yoga or deep breathing or some mindfulness meditation. These things don't seem like they would make a big difference, but they really, really can. You need to prioritize sleep, minimum of 7 hours, just for general health, but especially if you're in a flare, would be really helpful. And then, of course, during a flare, you're not going to want to be doing much exercise. If any exercise, it's going to be very gentle exercise. This is not the time to be doing marathon training or attending sessions at CrossFit. If you feel like you can't get these things in your diet, you can certainly add them with supplement support. And then it's always important to ask the why is this stuff happening to begin with? And this is where someone like me comes to play. What's happening in your gut? What gut bugs are living in your gut? Can those be identified and eliminated so that you don't have these flares in the future? And that's what I love to help people figure out. So I hope this was helpful. Have a great rest of your day.